Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Addison, whatever time you're listening, and thank you for joining us for our ASD Chat for All podcast. We have lots of fun and exciting things on the horizon for Addison School District 4, and this podcast allows us the opportunity to connect with our parents and guardians, families, and community to celebrate our students, their accomplishments, and so much more. Your hosts for this podcast are ASD4 Superintendent Dr. Nick Sutton and myself, Dean Constantopoulos. You interested in hearing more about what's going on in District 4? Come on in and have a chat. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us again for another episode of our ASD Chat for All podcast. My name is Dean Constantopoulos. I'll be one of your hosts this afternoon, and I'm joined by my co-host, Dr. Nick Sutton. Nick, how are we doing today?
I'm well. As we record, like everybody else, today is a cold, windy fall day. It's not summer anymore, Dean.
I know. I was thinking about maybe bringing either a jacket or just hitching my a little space heater on my back or something on the way here.
Kids are still wearing shorts. Nobody's got winter jackets yet.
I know. I mean, and more power to them. You gotta hold off as long as you can before you pull the jackets out of storage.
And I can attest that many are.
Yes, exactly. But it's important though to make sure you're keeping an eye on the weather. You want to. Even if some people are a little bit stubborn, you want to be sure you're staying safe, right? So, and to talk a little bit more about the safety here at Addison School District 4, we're joined once again by Dr. Kim Lohse. Kim, how you doing?
Our first recurring guest, right?
Yes, exactly.
Ooh,
yeah.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be back talking about one of my favorite topics, school safety.
Awesome. Well, before we hop into that, since the last time we talked to you, how have things been going?
I would say things are going very well. We've hired some more substitute teachers
Awesome.
And some more paraeducators, so we're very excited about that.
Oh, excellent. Glad to hear it.
But we're still hiring.
Hopefully...
I noticed that. You noticed that little...
Yeah.
You made sure to interject that.
Of course. Hopefully those videos and such are getting a little more traction. But
so.
For everybody out there, we're still looking. So come and help us out. Come join us.
So as the school year gets underway, Dr. Lohse, and we start to begin more events, more activities, that means more kids are going to be out and about at different times during the day. So one thing on every parent's mind and educator's mind is always going to be safety. So let's talk about safety procedures. And what are some of the measures that the school district takes to protect our students and staff?
So a really great question. We use a multi-layered approach in Addison School District 4. So all of our students and staff participate in the legally required drills in Illinois: fire, bus, severe weather, and active threat drills. Mm-hmm. Additionally, our staff do undergo training each year on active threats, and principals do review all those procedures with students and staff in the beginning of the year. A couple of other things that I think are important to highlight. We work very closely with the local Addison Police Department and the Addison Fire Protection District. They are great partners. They actually have been training in our schools each summer for rapid response training so that we are fully prepared to respond in the event of some type of active threat or emergency. Gotcha. So we're very grateful for that partnership.
And now, correct me if I'm wrong, to interject really quick.
No.
These drills that the Addison Police put on, they're very realistic, right?
They are, yes. We actually will go through a full active threat scenario where they will not only take out the threat, but also they will rescue victims and perform medical procedures on site. And then we say transport. They don't actually physically transport, but they do bring them outside as though they are going to be transporting them. And so it helps us to really test what we're able to accomplish, and it makes sure that everybody understands what their role is. It also helps us to determine if our communications are working properly and if the proper channels are all followed. So it's great to have school representation along there with them, and they've been awesome, and we typically debrief afterwards as well, and we've made some improvements. So
that's awesome. And and that kind of takes away from the whole drill aspect, right? It's not so, it's just a drill, you know what I mean? But the police are here. We're taking this very seriously. We want to be prepared in case anything were to ever happen like that. So that's great to hear.
And if I may highlight, we actually are in the process of planning a larger drill that will likely include county agencies as well.
Oh, wow.
That will be scheduled to take place in August 2023, right? Thank you.
Great.
It's something that we've been trying to plan for the past couple of years, but COVID unfortunately halted that. And so we have started conversations about that again, and we'll be starting the full planning in October, actually.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for sharing. So, the other day, I actually noticed in the district office they were playing a Blue Point warning. It was about an active threat in the building, and we were doing a bit of a Blue Point drill. So, for anybody that isn't sure what that is, can you tell us what exactly is Blue Point, and what is Alice, and why are these things so important for not only the staff to know, but for the students to know as well?
So several years ago, research started to point to traditional lockdowns as not being effective in the event of an active threat. And so the district began training all staff and students on ALICE, which is what we call lockdown with options. I won't get into the details about it because I don't want to tell all of our secrets, but what I can tell you is it does allow our staff and students to make decisions instead of just staying in a classroom locked down, hoping that nothing will happen. It gives them options for potentially escaping, barricading, etc. And what we have seen with lockdown with options is that it will save lives. The Blue Point system was added later. During our lockdown drills, we noted that communication was challenging. It was hard to mass notify an entire building in the event of an active threat, particularly if your office is in danger. And so we applied for a grant, and we're able to fund the Blue Point system for both District 4 and District 88. And what that does is it not only notifies the entire building that there is an active threat, but it also sends out communications to anyone in our system. So that includes the fire protection district so that they can start to mobilize and be ready for dispatch. The police department will self-dispatch to the school where the threat is taking place, and everyone in the building knows that there's an active threat and that they have to follow the active threat procedures or the ALICE procedures. So it's been beneficial for us, and the fact that we can notify hundreds of people in a very short amount of time that there is a threat so that everybody can begin the response as necessary.
I love it.
Incredible.
I love it. And it's nice to know that we're sharing all the safeguards that we have. So to kind of piggyback off that, sometimes incidents happen outside of school hours, and sometimes kids and families might not feel comfortable reaching out in person for help. So is there another way that individuals in a situation like that could reach out for help discreetly?
Absolutely. So again, we have multiple approaches for that. And so we've often talked about the fact that certainly we talk a lot about active threats, right? And anytime you're aware that a student may be planning or somebody may be planning to do something terrible, we want to be made aware. But there are also other crises, right? Suicide, mental health crisis, other bullying and things like that. So the district does actually utilize the Safe to Help line that is through the state of Illinois, and that is a 24/7 tip line. There is a call center in, I think, Springfield, where they will take calls, and then they will contact staff in the district and the Addison Police Department, depending on the seriousness of the threat. And it is anonymous. We are always hopeful that you will leave your name so that we can contact you if we need additional information or so that they can. But it is an anonymous tip line, and it can be accessed through phone, text, email, or via our website through an online form.
Great. So just to kind of go off that a little bit more, I heard recently that they actually changed. There's a crisis hotline number, and they actually, for suicide prevention, if you're having suicidal thoughts or you're feeling really low, you can call into this number. But I actually recently heard that they changed the number a little bit to make it easier. Can you compound on that a little bit?
The number is now 988. Easy to remember. If you are feeling very depressed or suicidal or engaging in self-harm, we do encourage you to call that as well. There are counselors who will stand by and assist you, and will also be able to connect you with some resources. I will also highlight, Dean, I think you and I talked about this actually last week, since they changed the number to 988, they've actually seen a huge increase, 45% increase in calls and 1,000% increase in texts to the 988 crisis line. So we want to make sure that we're getting the information out there because we know there are people who need it and maybe don't know where to look for help or resources. So our district is continuing to share that information as often as possible.
Well, you know what? You just brought up a really good point. That was actually going to be my next question. So people are hearing this information. They are interested. Maybe we're hitting a button with somebody that is feeling something that they didn't feel that they had any options. And now that they've heard this, they have some more options. So where can anybody listening find more information about any of these resources, more resources that we have to offer? What's the best place to look?
We do have resources on our district website, probably under the community resources tab, I believe. We do have a community resource guide that has lots of resources available, not just mental health resources, but other resources, including things like technology resources, utility resources, things like that. So I highly recommend that you take a look at that, or contact your building principal or even our district office, and we'd be happy to assist you in any way possible. We can also connect you with a family liaison in our buildings. They have a very
resource to point out.
I think Noemi was just on the podcast, actually.
Oh, yeah.
The family liaisons can help you individually as well, and so I would recommend calling your school office to seek out that resource.
Awesome. Well, Kim, thank you so much for all this wealth of information. So kind of going off that even more, if somebody wanted to reach out to you to ask for your expertise or any questions that they may have regarding any of these resources, what is the best way? Give everyone a reminder. What's the best way that they can reach out to you?
You can call me at the district office, 630-458-2432, or you can email me at klohse@asd4.org anytime. Always happy to assist anybody in the community.
Awesome. Thank you. And Nick, same question to you. If anybody's got questions about maybe they're struggling with something or they want to know about some of the upcoming events here in the district, what's the best way to reach out to Dr. Sutton?
Yeah, certainly, reaching out here at the central office by phone or sending an email to me. And like I mentioned in every episode, I also am always available on Twitter at Dr. Nick Sutton. What about you, Dean?
Same thing for me. Twitter is going to be the best way to reach out to me, at AddisonSD4. Kim, thank you again. These are such great tips for everybody to know, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And for everybody listening, stay tuned for next time. Thank you for tuning in to our ASD Chat for All podcast. Check us out at www.asd4.org, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts for more. We'll be back soon with another episode, so stay tuned.